excited to kind of showcase this. I'll put it in slideshow mode for a minute. So we're going to build a custom GPT. Definitely, open up your Chat GPT. If you've got the paid version, you're going to be able to do this. If you don't have that yet, I highly recommend. It's definitely the most powerful part of OpenAI's Chat GPT. So we're going to build a custom GPT. It can write cover letters, and I'm even going to give you a little bonus today. I'm going to add some pieces to it where it can actually help you with resumes and even with guide you through the interview process. So I made two things here. I did use GPT to do this, so I didn't have to go scour the internet and find a real job description or go steal somebody's resume. And so I had GPT build a job title for a project manager, very generic. It's a pretty, 4 or 5 pages. It talks about everything a normal job description has in it. And then over here, I wrote a job description, and I did. I used GPT to kind of do that. I said, hey, I want a job description. I want them to have it be this profession. They've got about 12 years of experience across 3 jobs, make up the jobs, kind of give them a background persona, and it nailed it. I mean, it really did a good job writing an example resume. So, and then we're going to walk through. So I'm going to use these two as the examples. I will drop those into chat so you can kind of have some examples of that too. But the main thing is, I'm going to have it write a cover letter. Then we're going to go to some changes, and then we're going to talk about an interview process. So let me jump right into demoing this. Okay, so we will start. Let me move a couple windows over so I can get to everything. We're going to start with ChatGPT, and we will open up the sidebar if you don't have that open and go to Explore GPTs. And that's how you're going to get to it. And once you click that in the right-hand corner, you're going to have Create GPT. So again, I walked through this. I'm going to go pretty fast through this today. So if you're not as familiar with this, maybe look at last week's because I went into a little more detail of showing a couple examples here. So I'm not going to go over some of that quite as much. But today, I'm going to jump right into the configuration, which is going to let me really manually manage this. And I'm going to copy and paste all of this into the chat for you guys also. So give me a minute as I copy all this over. And then I'm going to copy the roles and talk through that, which is the instructions. And I'm going to open that. So anyway, let's start at the top. So I'm just giving it a name. I'm going to call it a cover letter expert because that's the primary purpose of what I wanted to show today. But I'm going to show a few bonus things that it can do. You're an expert at creating tailored cover letters to enhance the job application. So that's kind of the purpose. The name and description is really for your use case. The instructions is what it's really going to listen to and is what is telling this GPT what to do. So I usually break it up. I will go over this again, even though I kind of covered this last week. I kind of give it its initial role. I don't usually have a primary and secondary. This is a little bit more of an optional bonus for the day, and I'll take that out before I save this. But typically, I'll just say, what is the role? You're designed to write professional, concise cover letters for job applications, requiring the applicant, which is be you or whoever is using the GPT, requiring that person's resume and the job description beforehand. So you want to define what the role is, and then I usually like to define tone of voice. It needs to be professional. Output is strictly limited to 2 paragraphs, extended only upon request. I like that because I like things to be a little bit more concise. If you want your cover letters to be longer, feel free to take that out or say 3 paragraphs or say 1. You can also modify it in the prompt while you're generating it, but this is just kind of like a default. Ensure the content of the cover letter reflects the applicant's skills and experiences, and it aligns to the job requirements without embellishment. That is key. You want to make sure these are the kind of things anytime you're working with GPT. Explain to it. If you don't know something, don't make stuff up. And it will do that kind of thing. That's the stuff you got to watch for. It is trying to answer anything you ask it in its best ability. And so sometimes it will ad lib if it doesn't really know. Each cover letter begins with "Dear company name." You can change that to however you want. I think that's a good set. And then, close it with "Sincerely." This just keeps consistency. You don't have to give this level of detail, but it really, and then by the applicant's name. It's going to know the applicant's name because you put in your job description. So it'll autofill it for you, figure those things out. If you're the only one going to use this, you could put your name. Then this is important too. Don't use the following words like um, enthusiastic, as advertised, aspirations. Sometimes I'll be specific with other things that'll say, these are just some examples of ones that I saw along the way. You can add some others. You can add a long list there of any words that you see it consistently doing that's annoying you and you're having to take out. And this works with any prompt, not just this example. Don't seem overly excited about the position. Just keep it professional. So that's important too. We don't need to sound like we're a kid in a candy store whining at their mom. I mean, and sometimes GPT will be like overexcited about things and be like, come on, nobody talks like this. And then this is the bonus for today. So if you're watching this, this is a great way. You could still, like, without this even written, you could kind of prompt this bot to kind of do things like this, but having this built into it really gives it like another layer that's a lot more valuable. It's okay to give a GPT more than one role or like a primary and secondary or multiple steps. It can handle a decent bit. As they continue to get better and better, probably as updates come out this year, things like this will become more and more powerful. So I don't have to write two different GPTs. I can kind of use one to do a couple different things really well. And this is example why. You're a professional headhunter with over a decade of experience placing candidates into these types of roles. And you could adjust this. Please provide expert advice to the applicant to create a professional resume, and even role play with the candidate and ask them questions to get ready for the interview. I'm going to showcase some of that. All right. Let me take all of this. I'm gonna make sure I put that in the chat for you guys.
Mhm.
Oh, you would do that.
It says it's too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's being fun.
Yeah.
And let's see, I'm gonna do it two parts.
We need some hold music.
That's right. All right. Welcome back, everybody. All right, so it's already loaded in there in the chat now. You guys could kind of build alongside. Sorry, I should have done that earlier. But again, just drop your name, description, and then you don't have to do conversation starters. You don't have to do that. Those are really just like prompts for you or to like get things started. The most important thing you've got to make sure you do is turn on code interpreter. That is what allows the GPT to read files and stuff like that. And these are the kind of features that like the lower end versions that are non-paid just they don't give you access to. And these are critical. And this is the game changer of these kind of features that the free versions just don't have or don't have as good of comprehension ability. So this is what allows it to read a job description, a PDF document, a Word document. I mean, any kind of file, huge files that you could put in here, and it can read through that and understand to give you value data back. All right, real quickly, this is when I usually will hop over to create because mine doesn't have an icon. Make an avatar for this GPT. So all it's going to do is make an icon. It's going to go look at the configuration, what this thing's about, and it's going to generate a picture to drop in here. I don't want to take much time with that. We'll let it build it and then I'll save it. But that's mainly okay, so there's my resume builder guy or cover letter expert, which is fine. I'm not going to spend much time. I could tell it to make him a robot and it will. I could say make it more blue and it would instead of, kind of a chromatone. All right, so who do you want to publish it to? Only me. This is just because I'm under a company name, Pixel Nova. Anyone with a link, so you guys won't see that. Anyone with a link and everyone. All right, you generally should only do this with only me, which is just yourself, or anyone with a link if you're planning on sharing this with someone else. I would not recommend doing everyone because that puts it out as a public GPT in the network where anyone else can pick it up. It's okay if you want to do that. Just understand what you're doing. It doesn't mean people can see your prompts. It's just you're sharing this GPT with the world. All right. If you're trying to become GPT famous, that's what you want to click. All right. So I'm going to just share that with basically me or my company, and we're ready to go. So we've got this expert. And please feel free to ask some questions in the chat while I'm going through this pretty quickly. And what I'm going to do is add the job description and my resume. So remember, this is my John Doe resume. And so I'm attaching it here. And then also my job description. So typically a job description is going to be posted on a website somewhere where you're doing the application. It might not always be a file. If it's a file on your computer like it is on mine, you could just drop the file in there. In this case, I showed you a snapshot of that in the presentation a minute ago over here. So I'm basically copy pasted this entire job description and then I attached this resume. Okay. I am not telling this cover letter what to do, this bot. I'm not saying write me a cover letter or anything. Remember, I wrote that already in the instruction set, so I don't have to repeat any of that. All I'm doing is just drop them in here and I'm going to hit return and go. It is reading that resume very, very quickly, and it is writing my 2 paragraphs. It opened it the way I said that I gave it instructions. It closed it the way I said. It wrote 2 paragraphs. It did exactly what I wanted.
Mhm.
Nailed it. It even called out this John Doe, even though I wrote these two in 2 different GPTs, so they don't even know about each other. It just so happens that John Doe had experience at Green Tech Solutions, a renewable energy. Well, it just so happens he's applying for Solar Flare that builds solar panels and stuff like that, I think. All this is made up, by the way, I told you to just do made up companies. So if they're out there and you work for them, I'm sorry. It wasn't on purpose. But it calls out, this is what I like, your background aligns, especially the track record with Green Tech Solutions. So again, it's calling out like, you have, you know, uh, some background in this. So again, you've got to read this though. It's got to
Yeah.
make sense. You've got to edit this. It is a great start. It is not the finished product by any means. If you're not changing this and you're just dumping this out there, it can make it really awkward when you finally have that call with the interviewee. All right. But the really powerful part is this is prompt number 1. So how about we go to the next step and I say, what changes would you suggest I make to my resume? Because it already knows about my resume. I just gave it to it to help amplify my background specific to this role. So this is the kind of question where you can kind of like talk to this GPT a little bit because I put that secondary skill set where it's like a headhunter and it's like it's going to like talk you through and I could ask for more details, elaborate on number 2, but leadership, emphasize your leadership style. And again, based on it's giving some of these suggestions very specific to what that role was, what the job description was. Skills and certifications, ensure that you have your PMP certification, which is very important with this type of role. So really like this. This is a good a tip that will kind of give you some background. You could ask it further. I'm not going to do that right now, but I could ask it for like, what are some specific examples? One more I'll do. And this time I'm going to show a feature on the phone. This is a lot easier to do, but I have a quick key on my keyboard. So I'm just going to put it into audio mode and just talk to it. I have an interview plan next Monday, and I would like you to walk me through simple interview questions, period. Act as if you're the hiring manager interviewing me, period. Coach me along the way.
Mhm.
So I probably should have read to make sure it translated it properly. Any computer has that feature. You can enable like a quick key. And I'm going to show in a minute how to do this on a mobile device, which is even more powerful. But it's walking me through some questions here, which is really nice. So to take that one step further, I'm going to make sure it saved this GPT over here, which it did. And I'm going to open up my phone, and I have Chat GPT app on my phone, which is my next topic, which is going into apps and that project manager. So I can see this same list of today, the conversations I've had. I can see that on my phone. So I've got my background thing a little weird, so it'll glitch out sometimes when I'm showing my phone. But you can see I've got this conversation. It just gave me all these tips of like conversation questions. And I'm gonna jump over to my phone now. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click the little headphones icon in the bottom corner. I would like you to walk me through question number one and help guide me and coach me along the way of how I should answer this.
For question one, start by briefly summarizing your professional background, focusing on your most relevant experiences that align with the role at Solar Flare Innovations. Connect your passion for sustainability and technological innovation to the company's mission. Emphasize how your professional goals align with the company's objectives to combat climate change through innovative solutions. Keep your answer concise, but make sure.
So I'm pausing it. It will very clearly walk me through. I can give it some of my background. I walked through this a little bit. To save time, I'm going to skip some of these parts, but it will actually coach you through and tell you what you did right, did wrong. You can move on to question number two, and you could quiz it over and over. So great example of how, especially in a thing like this is taking it from where answering this in a written form is not how you answer in an interview format. When you're in an interview format, you're talking to a person. You've got seconds to reply. You can't sit there and think about it while you're typing it in and make changes. You've got to be on the spot ready. So this is a great way to kind of like coach yourself through some scenarios like this. Really powerful way to take a tool like this, move it into onto a mobile device and convert it into that like real-time scenario. And definitely want to highly recommend doing some things like that. There's some other scenarios I'm testing right now of how this could be applicable to other applications, not just cover letters and things like that. But interview style, back and forth conversation is really great, and it's coaching you along the way.
Yeah.
It can also do that for coaching you for studying for a test or other things like that, and tell you why you got the answer wrong. So I'm excited to build some other aspects of this, maybe for like people who do in college and stuff like that, and really pumped about where it's headed and where it already is.